Hello learners, my name is Devagama. Welcome to my Data Cafe YouTube channel. In this video series, I am going to discuss about the Azure Data Platform related tools and their features. So as an initial video, I will show you how to provisioning Azure SQL Server and Azure SQL Server Database. In the next videos, I am going to explain about the Azure data platform related tools like Azure Data Factory and etc. Okay, now I will show you how to provisioning Azure SQL Server Database on the Azure platform. For that, actually, we have to do three steps. First one is we have to create the resource group. Second one is we have to create the Azure SQL Server. Then we can create our Azure SQL Server Database. So while I'm creating that Azure SQL Server, I can create the resource group. So I will show you how to create Azure SQL Server. For that, you can have different options. You can either search this search from this search bar like this, SQL Server. You can click on that, or else you can click on this icon. So I'm going to click on this icon. Then it will pop up to the SQL Server area. So again, you have two options to create SQL Server. You can click on this create button or this one. I will click on this one. Then it will populate to the, it will move to the create SQL database server option. So you can see my subscription is Azure for students, and you have to create the resource group. As of now, I don't have any resource group for that. So what I need to do is I need to create a resource group. To create resource group, you can click on this create new. Then you can see it will give the we have to give the name for the resource group. So I will give Data Cafe resource group. Okay, so this is my resource group. So when I am creating any instance like SQL Server Database or VM or whatever the resources, you can, whatever the instance we have to create under single resource group. If you want, you can create a different resource group. So for this demonstration purpose, I will create all the instance under Data Cafe resource group. Okay, now we have created the resource group. Then we have to give the server name. SQL Server name. So I will give Data Cafe SVR01. This is my server name. So my location is East US. So you can give any locations. This is the student subscription. So I will give the East US. Then authentication mode. So you have to give the relevant authentication mode. In this case, I am using SQL Server authentication. If not, you can use Azure Active Directory, something like Windows authentication, or you can use the both. So in this case, I am using SQL Server authentication. Then we have to give the server admin login and the password. So that is very important. So when we are connecting to the SQL Server, you should know this username and the password. If not, you can't work further. So anyway, I will give password username as Data Cafe. So sorry, Data Cafe admin. This is my password. Then I will give my password like this. Okay. So there is no any issue with that. Then we have given basic informations. In addition to that, if you want to do some firewall rules, if you want to apply some firewall rules, you can enable this one as a default. I will not enable any firewall rules. When I am connecting to that server, I will whitelist my public IP. Okay, in the additional settings, you can enable the Microsoft Defender for SQL. So I'm not enabling that feature, or else you can use the free trial version. So the next tag is next tab is tag. So if you want to create any, if you want to tag any repository like GitHub or any other repository tool, you can use that feature. So I'm not using any tags for this for my database server. So then I think we have given the relevant informations, then we can review that one. So in the review and create tab, you can see all the informations like product details and yeah, terms and basic information, subscription, resource group and server name and authentication methods and the server admin login and as well as location. So then I am not enabling any firewall roles and I am not enable defender for SQL. Then you can create your Azure SQL server in the Azure platform. So to create, I can click on this create button, then it will take few seconds. Now you can see the deployment is in progress. It means it is still creating my resource group and the SQL server. So it will take some time, will stay. Now you can see my deployment is completed. So if you go to that home menu and refresh, then it will list the server which I have created earlier. So then I will show you how to create Azure SQL Server Database under this database server. Okay, now we will see how to create Azure SQL Server Database in our Azure SQL platform. So for that you can click on this button, or else you can search on this search bar and select SQL Database. So I will click on this recent services, then it will populate to the SQL database creation window. So there are two options. You can click on this create button, or you can create this button, then you can create a Azure SQL database. I will click on this. Yeah. So so I have to give the project details, subscription. This is Azure for student, and I have to select my the resource group. So my resource group is Data Cafe resource group. Then I have to give the database detail. So my database detail, database name is Data Cafe DB. That is my database. Then I have to select my database server name. Okay, so I will give this one. So that is my the database server name. Okay. So then I am not going to enable that SQL Elastic Pool and workload environment set as production. Then compute and storage. So default for the general purpose, they have selected Gen 5 2 cores and 32 GB storage. So redundant disabled. So actually for the demonstration purpose, I will change these configurations. To change that one, you have to click on this configure database. So this is for the demonstration purpose. So you can see yeah, there are different cost models, cost summaries available for each service tier. So we can select multiple service tiers. So you can see the cost, it's about 380 USDs per month. It is the estimated cost per month, but in this case I am using basic for less demanding workload service tier. Then it's allocated 5 DTUs, database transactions unit, 5 DTUs, and data max size is 2 GB. So actually it's a measurement for the storage and the computing in the Azure data platform. So if you want to get more details, you can click on this Azure note and you can get more details on that. So I'm not going to explain. There are a lot of information they have provided. So you can see with this basic for less demanding workloads, cost is $4.99 per month. So I will apply these changes. Then you can see those informations has applied. So backup storage redundancy, I have enabled this geo redundant backup storage. Then so I think in the basic tab I have given all the informations. Then I go to that network and I'm not going to enable that firewall rules. If you want, you can add some public IPs or private IPs. Then securities, you can enable that Microsoft Defender SQL. I'm not going to enable. If you want, you can set start free trial. Then ledgers and other informations I'm not going to include. Then for the additional settings, for the database and the data collections, maintenance windows, you can select whatever you want, but I keep as default. Then in the tag, so if you want to tag with the different repository like GitHub or local repositories, you have to give the name and the value, then you can tag with that. So I'm not going to tag anything. So simply move to the review tab. So in the review tab, you can review all the product details like SQL Server by Microsoft, then estimated cost per month, pricing details and terms and conditions of the Azure marketplace, and the basic details of the Azure SQL database. So the subscriptions, resource group, region, database name, server, and the compute and storage and backup storage redundant informations will display in the basic. Then networking, I haven't included anything. Then you can simply create on the create button to create your Azure SQL database. So I will click on this. So you can see it's initializing my deployment. It means submitting the deployment template for the resource group. Then deployment is in progress. So within few minutes, actually less than 3 to 4 minutes, you can create your SQL database. So you can see my deployment is complete. So it means that database data cafe DB database has created in my resources. So to check my database in my resource group, you have to click on to go to resource, then it will display your database. So you can see in the database area, you can get a lot of information. In the left hand side, you can get the overview, activity log, tags, getting, query editor. Later I will show you how we can use that query editor. Then we have Power BI, Power Apps, and under settings you can get compute and storage, connection strings, those informations. And also you can see in the essential sections, you can get the resource group, status, location, subscriptions, and server name. That is very important. The reason is, if you need to connect to that database, you have to get that server name details. For example, let's say you are going to connect to the Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio, then you should have that server name as well as admin login and the password. So later I will show you how to connect and elastic pool, connection strings, those things. In addition to that, you can see the compute utilizations. It's a real-time dashboard. So once you execute any query, at the same time it will reflect in the utilizations chart. And also use space and allocation space and the maximum storage space will display in there as a dashboard. In addition to that, if you need to configure any advanced features like Defender for SQL, automatic tuning, replicas, auditing, dynamic data masking, so you can configure those things. So that is about it. Then I will show you how to connect to that database using SQL Server Management Studio. So I will copy that server name by click on this icon, then copy it. Then I will open my Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. Freely you can download from the web and you can install. So to connect, you have to click on this connect button and click on the database engine. Then you have to paste in the server name. Already I have copied that. Then authentication mode is SQL Server authentication. Then I will give my SQL login. So my login is data cafe admin. I will give my password, then click on the connect button. Then you can see I have connected to my database through the SQL Server Management Studio. So you can see that the earlier created database is available, but I think there is no any table. Anyway, it is refreshing. So then I will show you how to create a simple table on top of that database. So for that I have written a sample create statement. Then I will copy that one and I will open this query editor by click on this new query button. Okay, then it will open a new window to execute your TSQL or SQL queries. Okay, so I have copied that my sample table creation SQL script. Then I paste that SQL into this. Then I will execute this create table. Then before that I have to select the relevant database name, because by default it has select as master. To create that table in your relevant database, then you have to select the relevant database. My relevant database is DataCafe.db. Then I put this database. Then I will execute. So you can see the command completed successfully. Now if I refresh my table, then this person's table will create. Hope you can see. So if you want to get top 1000 records, you can see I haven't inserted any record for this table. Anyway, it's empty table. So that is the way to connect to Azure SQL database using Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. Then I will show you how to connect that database through the Azure platform. So as I explained earlier, there is an option called query editor. Through that you can connect to your database. So simply you have to go to that your database, go to the home, and you have to click on this database. Then you can see the overview and all the information is there. Then there is a menu called query editor preview mode. So you can click on that. Then it will pop up to this. Then you have to give your login and the password and those information. So if you click on that, it will take some time. Okay, once I connect to that one, you can see my query editor preview mode has enabled. So if you can expand your tables, then newly created table will display here. It will take some time. Okay, now you can see the earlier created persons table has displayed here. So if you want, you can write any SQL queries in this query editor. Okay, now you can see you can execute this one. Then your output will take some time because it depends on your internet connection. So while it's loading, I will explain other areas. So if you want, you can cancel the query, you can save, you can export your data as a Excel or CSV file, as well as if you want to open multiple queries like in the Microsoft SQL Server, you can create new queries by click on this, and you can get the new users and those informations you can create. So you can see that the query succeeded and affected rows is 0. It means there is no any record in your Azure SQL database table. So I think that is about the provisioning SQL Server and the SQL Server database in the Azure platform. So I think you have clear understanding about how to provisioning those instances in the Azure platform. In the next videos, I will explain you how to create views and procedures and how to integrate those objects with Azure Data Factory with developing different pipelines. So then if you have any questions with that, you can comment on that, and you can have any suggestions, feedback, you can share with me. Thank you.